Peaky Blinders is a British period crime drama television series created by Stephen Knight. Set in Birmingham, England, it follows the exploits of the Peaky Blinders crime gang in the direct aftermath of the First World War. The fictional gang is loosely based on a real urban youth gang of the same name who were active in the city from the 1880s to the 1910s. It features an ensemble cast led by Cillian Murphy, starring as Tommy Shelby, Helen McCrory as Elizabeth Polly Gray, Paul Anderson as Arthur Shelby, Sophie Rundle as Ada Shelby and Joe Cole as John Shelby, the gang's senior members. Sam Neill, Annabelle Wallace, Ido Goldberg, Tom Hardy, Charlotte Riley, Finn Cole, Natasha O'Keefe, Paddy Considine, Adrian Brody, Aidan Gillen, Anya Taylor-Joy, Sam Claflin, Amber Anderson, James Free-Chevely and Stephen Graham are also starring. It premiered on September 12, 2013, telecast on BBC Two until the fourth series, then moved to BBC One for the fifth and sixth series. Netflix, under a deal with Weinstein Company and Endemol, acquired the rights to release the show in the United States and around the world. In January 2021, it was announced that the sixth series would be the last, followed by a spin-off film. The final series was broadcast in 2022. Overview. Peaky Blinders is a crime drama centered on a family of mixed Irish traveller and Romani origins based in Birmingham, England, starting in 1919, several months after the end of the First World War. It centers on the Peaky Blinders street gang and their ambitious, cunning crime boss Tommy Shelby. The gang comes to the attention of Major Chester Campbell, a detective chief inspector in the Royal Irish Constabulary sent over by Winston Churchill from Belfast, where he had been sent to clean up the city of the Irish Republican Army flying columns, the Communist Party of Great Britain, street gangs, and common criminals. Winston Churchill charged him with suppressing disorder and uprising in Birmingham and recovering a stolen cache of arms meant to be shipped to Libya. The first series concluded on December 3, 1919, Black Star Day, the event where the Peaky Blinders planned to take over Billy Kimber's betting pitches at the Worcester races. The second series has the Peaky Blinders expand their criminal organization in the south and north while maintaining a stronghold in their Birmingham heartland. It begins in 1921 and ends with a climax at Epsom Racecourse on May 31, 1922, Derby Day. The third series starts and ends in 1924, as it follows Tommy and the gang entering an even more dangerous world as they once again expand, this time internationally. The third series also features Father John Hughes, who is involved in an anti-communist organization, Reuben Oliver, a painter whom Polly enlists to paint her portrait, Russian Grand Duchess Tatiana Petrovna, and Linda Shelby, new wife of Arthur. The fourth series begins on Christmas Eve 1925, with the Peaky Blinders getting word that the New York Mafia is coming to avenge the murders they committed the previous season, and ends following the general strike of May 1926. With Tommy using Jesse Eden for information and being elected as a Member of Parliament in 1927. The fifth series begins 2 years later on October 29, 1929 and ends on December 7, 1929, the morning after a rally led by British Union of Fascists leader Sir Oswald Mosley. The sixth series begins on December 5, 1933, as Prohibition is repealed in the United States. The Nazi Party has also obtained power in Germany, leading to a growth in membership of the British Union of Fascists. Tommy must not only deal with Mosley but also with plots from the Irish mob as well as the anti-treaty IRA. Cast and characters. Main. Cillian Murphy as Thomas Tommy Shelby, the leader of the Peaky Blinders. Sam Neill as Chief Inspector/Major Chester Campbell, an Ulster Protestant policeman drafted from Belfast. Helen McCrory as Elizabeth Pollyanna Polly Gray, née Shelby, the aunt of the Shelby siblings, and treasurer of the Peaky Blinders. Paul Anderson as Arthur Shelby Jr., Tommy's best friend and eldest of the Shelby siblings. Annabelle Wallace as Grace Shelby, née Burgess, a former undercover agent, an Irish Protestant. She is Tommy's first wife and mother of his son Charles. Ido Goldberg as Freddie Thorne, a known communist who fought in the Great War and Ada's husband. Sophie Rundle as Ada Thorne, née Shelby, the only sister of the Shelby brothers. Joe Cole as John Johnny Shelby, the third youngest Shelby brother and a member of the Peaky Blinders. Ned Dennehy as Charlie Strong, owner of a boatyard and an uncle figure to the Shelby siblings. Benjamin Zephaniah as Jeremiah Jimmy Jesus, a preacher, and friend of the Peaky Blinders. David Dawson as Roberts, Billy Kimber's accountant. Andy Nyman, Richard McCabe, and Neil Maskell as Winston Churchill. Charlie Creed Miles as Billy Kimber, a local kingpin and leader of the Birmingham Boys who runs the local races. Tommy Flanagan as Arthur Shelby, Sr., the father of the Shelby siblings and Polly's brother. Noah Taylor as Darby Sabini, the leader of an Italian gang in Camden Town. Tom Hardy as Alfred Alfie Solomons, the leader of a Jewish gang in Camden Town. Charlotte Riley as Mae Fitz-Carlton, a wealthy widow who owns race horses. Finn Cole as Michael Gray, Polly's biological son. Natasha O'Keefe as Elizabeth Lizzie Shelby, née Stark, an ex-prostitute who worked for Tommy as his secretary. She is his second wife and the mother of his daughter Ruby. Amy Fionn Edwards as Esme Shelby Lee, John's wife and a member of the Lee clan. Gate Jansen as Princess Tatiana Petrovna, a Russian princess who has an affair with Tommy. Alexander Siddig as Reuben Oliver, a portrait artist in a romantic relationship with Polly. Packy Lee as Johnny Dogs, Tommy's gypsy friend. Jan Bijfuet as Archduke Leon Romanov, Tatiana's uncle. Dina Korzun as Grand Duchess Isabella Petrovna, Tatiana's aunt. Paddy Considine as Father John Hughes, a priest working with the anti-communist Section D in the British government. Kate Phillips as Linda Shelby, Arthur's wife who is a devout Christian. Charlie Murphy as Jesse Eden, a union convener and Tommy's lover. Adrian Brody as Luca Changretta, a New York mafioso with a vendetta against the Peaky Blinders. Ian Peck as Curly, a horse expert and Charlie's assistant. Jack Rowan as Bonnie Gold, Aberama's boxing champion son. Aidan Gillen as Aberama Gold, an ally of the Peaky Blinders and Polly's lover. Anya Taylor-Joy as Gina Gray, Michael's American wife. Kingsley Ben-Adir as Colonel Ben Younger, a young colonel who begins a relationship with Ada. He is also investigating socialist and fascist political activities. Sam Claflin as Sir Oswald Mosley, a fascist politician and leader of the British Union of Fascists. Brian Gleeson as Jimmy McCavern, the leader of the Billy Boys, a Scottish Protestant gang. Kate Dickey as Mother Superior, the head of a group of nuns. Andrew Koji as Brilliant Chong, a Chinese criminal leader involved in opium smuggling. Cosmo Jarvis as Barney Thomason, a WWI sniper who was Tommy's comrade and old friend and is locked in an insane asylum. Alfie Evans Meese and Harry Curtin as Finn Shelby, the youngest Shelby brother and a member of the Peaky Blinders. Charlene McKenna as Laura McKee / Captain Swing, an IRA leader from Belfast. Pauline Turner as Frances, Tommy's housekeeper. Amber Anderson as Lady Diana Mitford, Mosley's second wife, one of the aristocratic Mitford sisters and a fascist socialite. James Freechevely as Jack Nelson, a South Boston gang leader, Gina's uncle, and Michael's boss in the United States. Stephen Graham as Hayden Stagg, the union convener for the workers at Liverpool docks. Conrad Kahn as Erasmus Duke Shelby, Tommy's firstborn son from before the Great War. Jordan Bolger and Daryl McCormack as Isaiah Jesus, Jeremiah's son, and a member of the Peaky Blinders. Emmett J. Scanlon as Billy Grade, an ex-footballer turned singer and an ally to the Peaky Blinders. Recurring. Lobo Chan as Mr. Jong, a business owner in Chinatown. Neil Bell as Harry Fenton, a former landlord and owner of the Garrison Pub. Samuel Edward Cook as Danny Whizbang Owen, Tommy's former comrade and a loyal member of the Peaky Blinders. Tony Pitts as Sergeant/Inspector Moss, a police officer from Birmingham. Kevin Metcalfe as Scudboat, a henchman of the Peaky Blinders. Jeffrey Postlethwaite as Henry, a Peaky Blinders henchman. Matthew Postlethwaite as Nipper, a Peaky Blinders henchman. Simone Kirby as Irene O'Donnell, a pro-treaty IRA member, who works with Donald Henry and Inspector Campbell to blackmail Tommy into carrying out an assassination. Rory Keenan as Donald Henry, a spy who worked for the irregulars against the pro-treaty IRA. Adam L. Hager as Ollie, Alfie's assistant. Sam Hazeldine as Georgie Sewell, the right-hand man and consigliere to Sabini. Wanda Opalinska as Rosemary Johnson, Michael's foster mother, whom she named Henry. Daniel Fern as King Maine, a boxing trainer in Birmingham who trains Arthur and Bonnie. Paul Bullion as Billy Kitchen, a black countryman, who briefly worked as a head baker for Tommy and Alfie. Josh O'Connor as James, Ada's friend and housemate. Dorian Locke as Mario, the owner of the Eden Club, ran by Sabini. Alan Hopwood as Abbey Heath. James Eales as the Digbeth Kid Harold Hancox, an aspiring actor hired by the Peaky Blinders to get stood up and spend a week inside jail, only to be killed by Sabini's henchmen. Erin Shanacker as Mrs. Ross, a vengeful mother who dislikes Arthur for the death of her son. George Gwyther and Callum Boothford as Carl Thorne, the only child of Ada and Freddie. Stephanie Hyam as Charlotte Murray, a wealthy girl, with whom Michael has a short affair. Kenneth Colley as Vicente Changretta, the father to Changretta and his brother Angel. Brid Brennan as Audrey Changretta, Changarita's mother, wife of Vicente Changretta and head of the Italian crime family in Birmingham, as part of being the enemy of the Peaky Blinders. Frances Tamelty as Bethany Boswell, a wise old woman living in Wales, whom Tommy seeks out. Richard Brake as Anton Kaldin, a Russian refugee, who attempted to discuss business with Sabini and Tommy on Tommy and Grace's wedding day. Alex McQueen as Patrick Jarvis MP, a Member of Parliament and also a member and representative of the Economic League, working with Father Hughes. Ralph Ineson as Connor Nutley, a Lancaster factory foreman. Peter Bankley as William Letso, a former diamond miner, a tunneler from the South African Labour Corps and Tommy's friend. Richard Delane as General Curran, Grace's uncle. Dominic Coleman as priest. Wendy Nottingham as Mary, Tommy's housekeeper. Billy Marwood, Jensen Clark, and Billy Jenkins as Charles Shelby, the son of Tommy and Grace. Luca Matteo Zizari as Matteo, one of Changarita's henchmen. Jake Jaminiani as Frederico, one of Changarita's henchmen. Graham Hawley as Niall Devlin, a working man in the Peaky Blinders Limited, working for Tommy. Donald Sumter as Arthur Biggie, the King's private secretary, who deals with the case of the execution of Polly, Arthur, John, and Michael. Jamie Kenna as Billy Mills, a former heavyweight boxing champion and a worker for the Shelby Company Limited, who fights against Bonnie at the company. Joseph Long as Chef. Andreas Munoz as Antonio, the Italian assassin who came into Tommy's house as a sous chef and planned to kill Tommy. Ethan Picard Edwards as Billy Shelby, the son of Arthur and Linda. Dave Simon as Mulcha. Heavenly Clee and Orla McDonough as Ruby Shelby, the daughter of Tommy and Lizzie. Elliot Cowan as Michael Levitt, a Birmingham journalist. Peter Campion as Mickey Gibbs, barman of the Garrison pub. Tim Woodward as Lord Suckerby, a High Court judge. Dara O'Toole as Liam, an associate of Jack Nelson's. Peter Coonan as Connor Dunn, an associate of Jack Nelson's. Asa Oddbweb as Henri, a bartender on Miquelon Island. Frank Bruno as Miquelon Island Police Commissioner, head of police department on Miquelon Island. Simon Wan as Han, an opium dealer who operates through a cafe in Birmingham's Chinatown. Naomi Yang as Lee, Han's wife. Aneurin Barnard as Dr. Halford, Tommy's personal doctor. Abby Hearn as Mary Bone, Finn's wife. Episodes. Production. Peaky Blinders was created by Stephen Knight and produced by Katie Swindon. Screen Yorkshire provided funding for the production through the Yorkshire Content Fund, ensuring that the majority of the show was filmed in Yorkshire as part of the deal. Linguists weren't hired in the production to assist in the show, leading to the Romani Gypsies in the earlier series frequently speaking broken Romanian. Series 1. The first series was filmed in Birmingham, Bradford, Dudley, Leeds, Liverpool, and Port Sunlight. Railway sequences were filmed between Keighley and Damhams, using carriages from the Ingrove Museum of Rail Travel, and carriages owned by the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway Trust. Many of the scenes for the show were shot at the Black Country Living Museum. Stephen Knight, Stephen Russell, and Toby Finlay all had writing credits on the series. Ulster-born, New Zealand-raised Sam Neill enlisted the help of Northern Irish actors James Nesbitt and Liam Neeson to help him recover his lost Northern Irish accent for the role of C.I. Campbell. In the end, he had to tone down the accent since the series was marketed in the United States. Series 2. A second series was commissioned shortly after the broadcast of the first and aired in October and November 2014. On January 11, 2014, auditions were held in Digbeth area of Birmingham for white and mixed-race teenage male extras, resulting in lengthy queues. Series 3. Shortly after the final episode of the second series, the show announced via its Twitter account that it had been renewed for a third series. On October 5, 2015, the official Peaky Blinders Twitter account announced that filming had begun for Series 3. Filming completed on January 22, 2016, after 78 days of shooting. Series 4. During the initial broadcast of Series 3, the BBC renewed Peaky Blinders for Series 4 and 5, each of which comprises 6 episodes. Filming for Series 4 started in March 2017 and premiered on November 15, 2017 on BBC Two. Both the Weinstein Company and its logo in its credits weren't included, even though the company was formerly involved in the US distribution of the series. Series 5. The BBC commissioned a 5th series in mid-2016. On August 22, 2018, it was confirmed that Series 5 would be broadcast on BBC One. Having already premiered to a select audience at Birmingham Town Hall on July 18, 2019, the series began airing on BBC One on August 25, 2019. Series 6. On May 5, 2018, Stephen Knight told Birmingham Press Club that "We are definitely doing 6." Production on the series was due to begin in March 2020, but was delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. During 2020, rumors emerged linking comedian Rowan Atkinson to the show for the role of Adolf Hitler in Series 6, but the producers denied the involvement, saying that the news is completely false. On January 18, 2021, it was announced that Series 6, which had just begun filming, would be the final television series of Peaky Blinders, though Knight revealed the story will continue in another form. Helen McCrory, who played the character of Polly Gray, died in April 2021 and had been unable to film any scenes for the series. Series 6 premiered on February 27, 2022. Future. Following the announcement that the sixth series would be the last, Knight clarified that, following the year-long production hiatus in 2020, it had been decided to produce a feature-length movie in place of a seventh television series, with other connected television series potentially following. There is still no production date, but creator Stephen Knight has revealed that the movie should hit cinema screens in 2024. Peaky Blinders won the Returning Drama Award at the 2022 National Television Awards ceremony, with Knight subsequently confirming during his acceptance speech that production of the film would begin in spring 2023. Reception. The show received widespread critical acclaim. David Renshaw of The Guardian summarized the series as a riveting, fast-paced tale of post-First World War Birmingham gangsters, praising Murphy as the ever-so-cool Tommy Shelby and the rest of the cast for their powerful performances. Sarah Compton of The Telegraph gave the series a 4/5 rating, praising the show for its originality and taking all of our expectations and confounding them. Alex Fletcher from Digital Spy believes that Peaky Blinders has started as sharp as a dart, while Den of Geek called the series the most intelligent, stylish, and engrossing BBC drama in ages. Cult TV Times critic Hugh David said the show warrants the billing by managing to tick several ratings boxes. Period drama, gangster epic, film star leads yet go against the grain of those in the most interesting of ways. The show has been particularly celebrated for its stylish cinematography and charismatic performances, as well as for casting an eye over a part of England and English history rarely explored on television. Historians have been divided over whether bringing characters and events from other decades into a 1920s story undermines claims to historical accuracy, or whether working-class life in the period is nevertheless depicted in a truthful and resonant way. Reviews for the second series have remained positive, with Ellen E. Jones of The Independent commenting that Peaky Blinders can now boast several more big-name actors to supplement the sterling work of Cillian Murphy, Helen McCrory, and Sam Neill, referring to second series additions Tom Hardy and Noah Taylor. Several critics have compared the show favorably to the American series Boardwalk Empire, which shares the same themes and historical context. Show writer Stephen Knight stated in an early interview, "Do you know, and I'm not just saying this, but I've never watched them. I've never seen The Wire, I've never seen Boardwalk Empire, I've never seen any of them." When asked if he deliberately avoided watching these dramas, he responded, "It's sort of deliberate in that I don't really want to be looking at other people's work because it does affect what you do inevitably." On March 2, 2016, Knight told the Crime Scene Quarterly, "I've had unsolicited communication from Michael Mann, the film director, from Dennis Lehane, Snoop Dogg, he's such a fan. And the late David Bowie was a huge fan, more of that to come." It was later confirmed that David Bowie's music would be featured, and Leonard Cohen had also written a new song for Series 3. The sixth and final series has received universal acclaim. On Metacritic, it has a weighted average score of 86 out of 100 based on 7 reviews, indicating universal acclaim. On Rotten Tomatoes, it holds a 100% approval rating based on 14 reviews, with an average critic rating of 8/10. The website's critical consensus reads, "Peaky Blinders' 6th season gracefully addresses the untimely passing of star Helen McCrory while setting the stage for a fitting climax to this epic saga of likeable scalawags." Depiction of Jesse Eden. Series 4 and 5 introduced the character Jesse Eden, based on the real-life British communist and trade union leader. Although the reception was mixed, some people who had known Jesse Eden personally took offence to the way she was depicted. Graham Stevenson, a historian of British communism, a personal friend of Jesse Eden and the writer of her biography, was a harsh critic of the show, stating, "I knew Eden, and as a callow 22-year-old, I didn't ask the 70-year-old Jesse about her relationships, let alone sex life. But I doubt her private life was as complicated or dramatic as her eponymous characters." Nor can I see any young woman during the 1920s gratuitously going into a gents' toilets, as Eden is shown doing, for any reason at all other than life or death. The social values of the program are ahistorical. It is surely the conceit that Tommy Shelby, the gangster villain hero of the series, could ever convince a woman like Eden to be wined and dined, let alone be seduced, that finally reveals the true motives of the creators of the program. Stevenson also criticized the show for its clothing choices, incorrectly showing Churchill as Home Secretary in 1919, incorrectly depicting Eden as a mass leader during the 1926 general strike. Eventually these inaccuracies led Stevenson to stop watching the show. He went on to elaborate, although the TV series' cinematography, music, and fast-paced action is obviously attractive, especially matched to outstanding charismatic performances, it's disappointing that an expert in Tudor history was the historical advisor to the series, rather than someone with a background in trade unionism or communism. At a roundtable event featuring Stevenson, the poet Dave Puller, and cultural historian Paul Long, the three discussed the series and its depictions of the British working class. Long rated the series positively and praised the series as a great representation of interesting working-class protagonists. Puller had mixed feelings and was disappointed that the show chose to focus on Jessie Eden's fictional romance with Tommy, rather than her real achievements as a communist and a trade union leader. Awards and nominations. Broadcast and release. On September 24, 2014, it was announced that Netflix had acquired exclusive U.S. distribution rights from the Weinstein Company and Endemol. The entirety of Series 1 became available for streaming on September 30, 2014, Series 2 launched in November 2014. Series 3 was made available May 31, 2016. Due to licensing restrictions, however, most of the show's original soundtrack is not available on the Netflix distributed version of the series. In 2018, it was announced Peaky Blinders would be moved from its original broadcast channel, BBC Two, to BBC One for its fifth and sixth series. Cultural impact. According to the Office for National Statistics, Peaky Blinders has had a detectable cultural impact in the UK. In 2018, the name Arthur surged into the top 10 boys' names for the first time since the 1920s, and Ada jumped into the girls' top 100 for the first time in a century too. The assumption reached by the ONS is that the popularity of these names was inspired by the characters Arthur Shelby Jr. and Ada Thorne.